start off with the COVID-19 presentations. This set of presentations will include student speakers from 4 different tracks who have worked on solving challenges related to COVID-19. These next set of slides will explore the intersection of computer science and AI with challenges in COVID-19. These groups have been challenged to create an app or a test that can be used by everyone to help identify and contain COVID faster. So without further ado, take it away, COVID-19 Detecting App.
Hi, we were supposed to make an app that detects COVID. So my partner and I, my name is Ruhan and my partner's name is Akash.
The problem is that COVID-19 affects different people in different ways, and infected people can have different symptoms and even show signs of asymptomatic.
COVID-19 has changed the world in many ways. Some people that have COVID do not show all of the symptoms. If we are able to identify the symptoms early on, it would help isolate the person, thus decreasing the risk of it spreading more.
So how our device works is that, or app works is that step 1 is the user fills out a questionnaire asked through the app. And step 2, based on the answers, which are multiple choice, the app will tell you what are your chances of having COVID-19 and the best suggested course of action. So you could choose different types of symptoms, and based on that, it'll tell you like consult a doctor or self-quarantine.
So we have a scenario how our app works. Jeff wants to find out if he has COVID. So Jeff opens the COVID-19 Detective App. He fills out a questionnaire that the app gives him. Based on his answers, the app will tell him he has a 30% chance of having COVID, so he doesn't have to worry.
So overall, our solution is that this app is easy to navigate and can be accessible by many people. And through this app, people can be more sure what to do if they have COVID or based on their symptoms.
We have made an app that can be used anywhere to see if somebody has COVID. It can be used by hospitals, homes, and many more places. Our app gives a person a questionnaire. Based on the answers to those questions, the app will predict if you are COVID positive, you're COVID negative, or you might have COVID. I'll walk through my app and show how it works. For example, John wants to check if he has COVID. So he goes to our app and answers the questions that the questionnaire gives him. He answers no, none of the above, and no. So it tells him that he has COVID negative. Another example is Rob also wants to check if he has COVID. So he goes to our app and answers the questions that the questionnaire gives him. He answers yes, cough and fever, and yes. So it tells him you are COVID positive. Our last example is Susie also wants to check if she has COVID. So she goes to her app and answers the questions that the questionnaire gives her. She answers no, cough, and no. So it tells her she might be COVID positive. Thank you.
My project is called Contact Trace California. My slogan is innovation for envisioning a tomorrow. So good afternoon, everyone. I am an up-and-coming sophomore in high school. Here is just like a table of contents. So the problem would be mitigating the exposure and spread of COVID-19. Research is developing an APOSIT solution to the problem at hand. The solution is fulfilling the societal demand for a fitting and accessible resolution. How it works is I'm just going to be frameworking the operations and features of my solution and its impact, which is just applications of the solution. Okay, so I've reviewed the problem. Okay, so the COVID-19 pandemic has had both societal and medical implications. The problem being is that with so many not practicing proper protocols and others asymptomatically transmitting, a platform is not universally available to log exposure, trace contact with infected and even asymptomatic individuals, and accessibly connect the public to post-exposure protocols and health professionals. Research. While researching a viable method towards approaching the problem of mitigating the exposure and spread of COVID-19, the solution of addressing this issue via a computer science approach seemed very suitable. Recently, Apple and Google cooperatively released and implemented an interoperable API, or application programming interface, that app developers can use to track and log contacts amongst individuals who concur with using this feature. The solution is to create a universal app for this sole purpose, which is mitigating the spread by keeping the public in the know. Okay, so here's my solution. My solution comprises of creating an app that utilizes Apple and Google's newly implemented API, which will allow for developers to use Bluetooth technology to generate and exchange a random hexadecimal key every 15 minutes. That can be used when others' iOS and Android running cell phones to create a log of exposures that could then be contact traced back to a prospective COVID-19 positive individual if necessary. This would help to mitigate the spread, as the app would advise individuals who had come in contact with a newly infected individual to quarantine for the span of 2 weeks. The app would utilize a centralized data storage approach where users would have Bluetooth key exchanges, or the contact with others, be stored on their phones as well as in a database. Risk would be analyzed by a computer server utilizing the database. Additionally, the app would utilize Bluetooth low energy technology to detect if individuals who are both utilizing the Optioner smartphone feature, which is the API, and thus the Contact Trace California app, and it will detect if people are social distancing and if they are not relatives of one another. If users are exposed to an individual that then received a positive COVID-19 diagnosis, then that individual would be requested to quarantine and would receive a timeline status of how much longer they would need to quarantine. 2 weeks is recommended. Lastly, this app would utilize a video call feature to easily and accessibly contact qualified medical professionals regarding prospective COVID-19 symptoms. Okay, this is how my app works. So I have a little wireframe. So here's just a basic overview, and then the features are analyzed on the next couple of slides. Okay, so this is the first feature. This is the consent page that will be required to enable exposure logging features on iOS. It can be found under the settings under the Privacy, Health, and COVID-19 exposure logging page. This is the only way to enable the exposure logging and contact tracing feature using the Bluetooth exchange key technology. Otherwise, the social distancing feature uses Bluetooth low energy technology, which is common amongst modern cell phones and is a feature that can be enabled when opening the app simply as a notification consenting to the feature and is necessary for. Okay, so here are the second and third features. The second feature in the Contact Trace California is a proximity gauge that, much like the Tile Smart Tracker application, utilizes a feature on modern smartphones that utilizes Bluetooth low energy technology to express proximity that can then be programmed into a specified distance. The distance in Contact Trace California is expressed using proximity bars that will luminesce green if social distancing is practiced, yellow if less than desirable social distancing is practiced. So for example, that would be less than 6 feet. And it would luminesce red if no social distancing is practiced. Secondly, an exposure log will be kept of all exchanges with others and their Bluetooth exchange keys. The app will keep record of the anonymous exchange key, the time and date of exchange or the contact, and lastly, a negative or non-applicable test or positive COVID-19 diagnosis. So here are my fourth and fifth features. The final features include an optional quarantine status if an exchange or contact has occurred with a now infected individual or individuals, as that individuals could have been asymptomatic before. The feature is optional, though it is medically advised to quarantine if one has come in contact with a now infected individual or individuals. Lastly, Contact Trace California will feature an option to easily and accessibly connect with a healthcare professional via video call. One could use this feature if they feel they are exhibiting symptoms that are prospective of a positive COVID-19 diagnosis. This is the impact of my solution. Impact. Contact Trace California is an application that I can imagine would have vastly positive implications. With adequate funding and cooperation with the organizations such as California Department of Public Health, Contact Trace California could be a more universal means of users taking control over their health and safety using contemporaneous technologies. Contact Trace California fits the means of the demand for a much-needed exposure logging and contact tracing app in California. California has experienced some of the greatest ramifications of these unprecedented times, and the time to suit our state's need is now. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I appreciate your time and collaboration this afternoon.